Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
What's gone wrong for the Dutch government?
This video was brought to you by Henson Shaving. Nearly 1 year into power, support for the largest party in the Netherlands governing coalition, the Far-Right Party for Freedom, or PVV, led by Geert Wilders, has completely dropped. After reaching a historic high of 33% in the polls last April, support for the PVV has steadily declined, with them dropping 10 percentage points and even losing their lead, as voters become increasingly concerned about the PVV's ability to effectively govern. Then this Monday, after revealing a plan to radically slash immigration, Wilders has once again threatened to pull his PVV party out of the coalition if his plan wasn't implemented. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how the PVV came to power, why its voters are pretty unhappy with its governance, and what could happen next. LDR global or wars in Africa. Check out the news on how the incumbent Dutch government actually came to power. In November 2023, the Dutch general election saw Wilders' PVV win 37 seats in the 150-seat House of Representatives, becoming the largest party for the first time, a position that had previously been held by the centre-right People's Party, the VVD, since 2010. These results were obviously a massive victory for Wilders, who campaigned on an anti-Islam, anti-immigration, Eurosceptic platform, promising
So they're the right. So it makes sense why they're having issues. Because all the rights are having issues now because of Trump.
to ensure that, quote, the Dutch get their country back. However, this didn't go down well
Right, the Dutch will they get their country back, make America great again, same thing.
with the other right-wing parties. The leaders of the VVD, Dilan Yeşilgöz, and the centre-right New Social Contract, Peter Omtzigt, signalled that they wouldn't serve in a cabinet led by Wilders. Now, this was partly because of Wilders' highly controversial views, but also due to a lack of trust in his party's ability to actually handle the public finance.
That's so interesting though. I would have never thought that the Dutch elected like a alt-right kind of, you know, they seem like pretty left.
this is Dutch and Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like with the whole Amsterdam weed, prostitution, that's very liberal
Yeah.
policies. That's so interesting that that's who they elected. Wow, I did not know that.
They're actually pretty strict. They allow weed, but in certain areas because
No, I know it's not like from our perspective.
yeah,
It's but
because even in the prostitution, there's like in some areas.
Anyway, coalition talks
kind of same like here in Nevada. It's not like the
Yeah,
whole Nevada. It's only
yeah,
Reno. Yeah,
yeah.
it's only a couple like hostels or whatever.
ended up collapsing early February last year after the NSC pulled out. And as a result, Wilders was forced to publicly concede that he would not be Dutch Prime Minister in order to get the other parties back on board. Luckily for Wilders, though, after around 6 months of coalition talks, last May, 4 parties, Wilders' PVV, the VVD, NSC, and Farmers Citizen Movement, or BBB, finally announced a coalition agreement. In order to get the other party's support, Wilders had dropped some of his more radical policies, including a ban on the Quran and mosques, as well as cutting back his spending plans, including on free public transport. But anyway, 1 year in, things aren't looking too great for the government, which is now led by former civil servant Dick Schoof. In March, a survey by RTL News found that just 1 in 6 voters had confidence in their government, and only 10% think that the government is taking good measures. VVD supporters were the most critical, though, with 50% saying the VVD should form a coalition with the main left-wing opposition party at the next election. Meanwhile, the PVV have also dropped in the polls, and recent projections put the Green Left Labour Alliance on basically the same seat count. So, what's gone so wrong for the PVV and its governing coalition? Well, according to recent polls, the main source of voter dissatisfaction with the PVV stems from the perception that the far-right party has failed to deliver on its manifesto promises. Beyond immigration, one of the most pressing issues among the Dutch electorate remains the country's ongoing housing crisis, which is considered to be one of the most severe in Europe, with an estimated
Really? I feel like
Yeah,
we've seen like a lot of European countries housing crisis. We have not seen nothing about Netherlands. We've seen Ireland, Portugal, Spain,
of anything in Netherlands.
Netherlands too. And not only two, they said one of the worst. God damn.
need for approximately 390,000 new homes to address the significant shortage. So far, though, many Dutch citizens are unhappy with how the government is handling this problem. For example, the government recently proposed a plan to freeze social housing rents for 2 years, but this measure faced considerable backlash. Critics argue that it contradicts the coalition's original agreement to focus on building more homes, and is seen as a superficial quick fix to a much deeper issue. On paper, lowering rents sounds beneficial, because lower income earners get the opportunity to save more money, but it doesn't actually address the fundamental problem, the low supply of housing. There are also concerns that
I mean, how would you fix that problem though? The Netherlands is a small country. And I don't really think they want the tall, buildings either. They kind of want to preserve that European look. They don't want the high rises. So how would you fix that problem? I don't know. Kick people out?
These rent freezes could lead to a halt in construction, as housing corporations, which have already taken legal action against the government, might receive less funding and therefore lack the resources to actually build new homes. Additionally, lowering rents could result in more houses being sold on the market, reducing the affordable housing supply and increasing demand further. Moreover, it's unlikely this rent freeze will even pass in Parliament, as the governing coalition lacks a majority and needs opposition support. Since opposition parties dismiss the plan as a bit of a stupid idea, this policy is likely to end in failure for Wilders. Another problem plaguing the coalition is political infighting. For instance, last November, the coalition faced a crisis after junior minister Noura Ashabar resigned amid violent clashes involving local and Israeli football fans in Amsterdam. Ashabar from the NSC party cited alleged racist comments made by other ministers during a cabinet meeting as the reason for her stepping down. Then this month, the foreign minister's decision
Race? Do you think she's of color?
Oh no.
Okay.
to request an EU review of the bloc's association agreement with Israel due to concerns about the humanitarian crisis in Gaza sparked further tension. Wilders criticised what he called the government's ridiculous anti-Israel measures and questioned why his party wasn't consulted. The Dutch Prime Minister responded by backing the Foreign Minister's decision, stating that Wilders' approval was unnecessary. Meanwhile, public opinion is shifting. About 27% of voters now oppose the Netherlands' relatively soft diplomatic stance on Israel, up from 19% in September, and 54% want the government to adopt a more critical approach. Still, this isn't the first time that Wilders has clashed with cabinet members and coalition partners. On multiple occasions, he's threatened to trigger crises unless his legislative demands on immigration are met. For example, in October last year, he sought to declare a nationwide state of emergency to push through stricter asylum measures without parliamentary approval. Then, early this year in February, Wilders caused an uproar by threatening to withdraw from the coalition and call new elections unless his proposed changes to tighten asylum laws were adopted. Evidently, the PVV's inability to deliver on promises, coupled with internal conflicts and political clashes, has significantly undermined its credibility and effectiveness as a governing force. So, can the PVV...
It's just so crazy, like, to see basically every country we react to, we find, oh, there's something like going on that we're completely unaware of. It's just,
Yeah. They
Oh.
only show the pretty part.
yeah, like we always see like, oh, everything is so beautiful, everything
Yeah.
is so good, it's so this, so that, food tastes great. Yeah, but there's bullshit going on everywhere. Like, that's crazy. Oh wow, this is I didn't know the Dutch
Yeah.
have any issues like
Like
that.
that.
Yeah.
PVV regain its popularity after this pretty terrible year in power? Well, looking at broader trends across Northern Europe, it's not looking too good for the PVV. Following Donald Trump's return to the White House, support for mainstream left-wing parties in countries like Denmark, Norway, and Sweden seem to be on the rise, as voters appear to be shifting towards more established parties as concerns about global stability and the looming economic downturn grow. Furthermore, anti-Trump sentiment across Europe has never been higher. In the Netherlands, a recent poll
And especially in the Netherlands, we reacted to what they think of Americans. The Dutch were not having it with Americans at all.
found that 60%
I think we reacted to a couple of countries. The Netherlands felt like the most anti-American out of all.
of Dutch people considered Trump to be an enemy of Europe, with only 8% saying
Yeah,
they
that makes
consider him a
sense,
friend.
yeah.
That's what
This
we
doesn't
saw,
bode
yes.
too well for Wilders, who has long been an admirer of Trump and is often called the Dutch Trump. Wilders has so far steered away from openly criticizing Trump, but this could backfire for him pretty soon and may inflict further damage on Wilders' support and deepen his party's decline. Now, lots of people
Okay. Can I see the comments?
Yeah. You know, when they advertise the websites for news, it makes sense. But the Razor,
Yeah.
what?
Hmm.
Yeah, you guys can tell I don't use no Razor. Oh. He just wants to keep playing the role of opposition outside when his party is governing. As a Dutch person who's also a bit politically active, great video. I have only 2 points to add. First, the PVV's decline in popularity also has a lot to do with the sheer incompetence of most of its prominent minister, Marjolaine Faber. She's the Minister of Migration and has basically accomplished nothing in the last year, while also becoming the laughingstock of the entire country with quotes like, I am policy. What?
Yeah.
Second, additionally, the PVV has become less popular due to war in Ukraine and their related peace talks, as the party has really hammered down on Zelensky, even calling him undemocratic. Oh, so just like Trump. Most Dutch are, however, very pro-Ukrainian, so that did not sit well.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord. Zoys, zoys, zoys. Share as much kindness as possible.